What's up everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about our new slurry spreader. I'm after using it a bit, so I'm after getting used to it now. So it is a 2500R Premium Plus Abbey slurry spreader, galvanized as you can see. So on the front here we have 11,000 litre Batamoni vacuum pump. There is a wide angle shaft. There's a sight glass or fill glass on the front as well, so you can see how much slurry is in the tanker. Really like that. Very useful for even filling and emptying. When you're in the field, you know how much is left, and also when you're filling, you kind of know when to be ready to have to shut it off for when it's going to be full. Also, just here for these, the little inlets for hooking up your hoses when it's not connected to the tractor. Really like that. Very handy for when you take off the tanker. It's nice and tidy. And as well, there's a little lift here to hold the PTO up after you take it off. And the stand, so our arms are traveling under the drawbar because they can't go over. There's too much stuff up here, and you're able to take off the stand and sit it up here. Really just nice and simple. As you can see, there's a bit of a pipe here off the vacuum pump, just so that it's not dirtying anything here. It's keeping everything clean. Then we have a side fill here on the left hand side of the tanker. And we have an access door here as well, just around here at the other side. So there is a blank plate here, so we don't have a fill point on that side, but obviously there is the option to put one if we want. The tyres that it is sitting on, they're Nordic tyres. They're 800. I'll zoom in there so you can read that for those who are interested in tyres. Obviously you got these things, little reflectors, so you can visually see if any of the nuts are loose. Handy. Another fill point on the back right. This was actually originally on the back left and I switched it over. So getting into the main part of it then is the trailing shoe. So it's an Abbey trailing shoe. It has a Volkswagen macerator and it's working pretty well. We all see the slurry is sucked out from the bottom up a pipe inside the tank and exits out the top up here, and it runs down, it runs through that pipe into the top here. It comes down and it can pass through this lollipop into the macerator, or else it can come straight down through this lollipop into the splash plate. Now I haven't used the splash plate at all. I should probably maybe open it every now and again so stuff doesn't settle inside in there, but I haven't used it yet. We won't really have much use for it. It'll be mainly all the dribble or the trailing shoe that we'll be using. It's a 7.5 meter trailing shoe. I'll show it folds out when we get out to the field. We are able to switch the direction in which the macerator works by this handle, so I kind of change that every time I go and using the spread every day or so. Every second day I just flick over the handle so that the direction the macerator is running is changed, and it's constantly sharpening the knives that are going in reverse, and it's also not wearing out too fast on one side. I can also temporarily obviously pump it the other way if there's a little bit of a blockage. I can just pump the handle the other way. It will close the gate, but it'll just spin around if there's a bit of a blockage. Works pretty well. One thing I really like is there's this stone trap on the macerator that comes down to this pipe here, and you can just open this handle here and let off this lay flat pipe to let out anything when you're finished spreading. Working pretty nice. There's good flexibility in it. Obviously you got these bars, there's a way of flexing them. I'll show you more when it's folded out, but you also have 2 pivot points on it, so there's real flexibility for it to move with the ground. It's lifted on rams hydraulically lifted, and this trailing shoe can actually be taken off, and it's actually resting on a 3-point linkage. So hypothetically you could take it off and put it directly on the tractor if you wanted to operate it in some sort of an umbilical cord system as well. Obviously we don't have that set up, but that's the way it's designed. And the handles are at the back here for switching over to the splash plate. It also taps on all of the rams for the folding out, and there's a tap here then that'll close off the hydraulic lift, the mast, so you can shut that off as well. I usually turn them all off when I'm taking it off. We have a small little tap here outlet at the back lift. Mud guards are really nice on the back, really keeping it clean. Just a nice little touch. Under here on the main machine then we have a stone trap. Then the lights, we got the lights here to mark the width of it when it's on the road. You've got your standard brakes and indicator lights on the tanker itself, as well as a beacon up there, and we have work lights mounted on top as well for working in the dark. Hopefully I won't have to do too much of that. But there's also your standard brake and indicator lights on the trailing shoe, because they might be difficult to see with the trailing shoe mounted, so they're down there as well. So if you're on the road, very visible. So very simple but effective. Why did we go with an Abbey tanker? I suppose very simply put, there's a long waiting list on buying tankers. For anybody who has looked into them or works with them will know, you know, there could be 9 to 12 months of waiting from once you order a tanker to when it will be delivered, because obviously a lot of millions of euros are being invested by farmers and agricultural contractors in new tankers with low emission slurry spreading equipment like this, the trailing shoe, dribble bars on that, to help improve our environmental footprint of the agricultural industry. So there's a huge demand on tankers at the moment. Why we went for the Abbey was we were pricing around different types of tankers, and when we got in contact with Abbey, they actually said we actually have one in the yard which was ordered but wasn't sold in the end. So we are very fortunate we were able to take that straight away and essentially got our tanker a year early. So with regards to spec, and then everything was already picked on this tanker was already built, so we didn't really build it ourselves, but it pretty much was meeting what we wanted. Originally we were looking at getting something a little bit bigger, but this is what they had, and as well it's probably better suited. We didn't go any bigger than this because our tractor is only 100 horsepower. She's able to handle it, all our ground is very flat, so she's managing okay, but ideally you would have a bigger tractor. But in the future we will be upgrading in a few years time and we'll get something a bit bigger, and we'll be glad we have a big tanker at that stage. Right, so enough talking about the tanker, let's get out in the field, let's use it, and I'll give you a look at it. So just in the tractor here, the vacuum pump runs at about 350 RPM. So I have it, not sure you can see that, I have it on 350 at the moment, about 340 to 350. So while I'm filling, I have it in our 540E gearbox, which means I'm only running about 10,000 revs for filling. She will fill quite quickly. You can see it there now, just coming up. So she's full there now. So when I'm spreading in the field, I actually switch the PTO gearbox into the regular 45 because I want to keep the RPM in the PTO under the 350, because she will build up pressure quite quickly. But I also want to keep my RPM up for pulling the machine and running the macerator and all that, there's going to be more pressure on the tractor.
Another thing about the Abbey tanker is that these tanks are from and made in my own county, County Tipperary here in Ireland, so it is kind of nice to be supporting a local business. Well, for any of you who don't know, what are the advantages of the trailing shoe versus your normal splash plate? Three big reasons is, number one, this technology, this is called trailing shoe, and other technologies like it, such as a dribble bar or injection, are known as less equipment, so low emission slurry spreading equipment. That means that because you're putting the slurry down directly on the soil in bands rather than spreading it out, you're losing less nutrients to the atmosphere. There's less ammonia emissions going into the atmosphere, you're improving your environmental footprint by reducing your emissions with your slurry spreading. Second reason is because you are not losing nutrients to the atmosphere in the form of ammonia, you're getting better use out of your slurry. The third reason is that it allows us to spread in higher covers of grass or follow behind the cows after grazing without reducing the taste or the palatability of the grass for the cows, or without reducing the amount of leaf that's receiving light from the sun so it can photosynthesize and grow. So this field I'm in here now is a perfect example of this. This field was pre-mowed maybe 2 rotations ago. It wasn't the last one, and the regrowths are good, but it hasn't got slurry this year. A little bit yellow, so I'm giving it a bit now, but you can really see the slurry right down there in between the grass. See, all this grass not even touched. When you look across the field, you'd hardly notice it. So compared to the splash plate now, all that grass would be dirty, which like this, there'd be too much grass in this field to spread with a splash plate in my opinion, because you dirty all that grass, you're reducing the light getting into the leaf, and you're going to make it not very nice and tasty for the cows when they come back. Certainly see a great response in the slurry. In the first 2 fields, the first field that I spread slurry in with this, I had a few misses because I was just trying to get used to it and stuff, and it was really good to see those misses and see the difference in response from the slurry on that field. And actually that wasn't even, can't really regard it as slurry, it was more just parlour washing soiled water. It was just dirty water really, and there was still a huge response out of it. You could really see it in the colour of the grass. That's going to be it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, and also hit the little bell there. That'll give you a notification every time I post a video. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.